Welcome to the Archetypical Mind Study Group. Today is session 21, and we are doing Catalyst of the Spirit. We're going to start with the Heavenly Prayer of Light.
Love before me, love behind me, love at my left, love at my right, love above me, love below me, love in me, love in my surroundings, love to all, love to the universe. Peace before me, peace behind me, peace at my left, peace at my right, peace above me, peace below me, peace in me, peace in my surroundings, peace to all, peace to the universe. Light before me, light behind me, light at my left, light at my right, light above me, light below me, light in me, light in my surroundings, light to all, light to the universe.
We thank the One Infinite Creator for this opportunity to serve, to know ourselves, to accept ourselves, and to become the Creator. Let our hearts be filled with gratitude to those of Ra for bringing us the archetypes as a tool for this inner work, and those of Quo for extending our knowledge of these tools. We extend our gratitude to the channeling team at LL Research for bringing us this knowledge. We invite Quo to join us in this working. We also invite our guides, our higher selves, and the ascended masters to grace us with your presence and to show us what we need to know. May all beings find what they truly seek. Amen. Catalyst of the Spirit. Questioner. Then is this from the point of view or with respect to the 15th archetype somewhat of an excursion into the matrix of the spirit in this process? Does that make any sense? Ra, I am Ra, the excursion of which you speak and the process of dissociation is most usually linked with that archetype you call hope, which we prefer to call faith. This archetype is the catalyst of the spirit, and because of the illuminations of the potentiator of the spirit, will begin to cause these changes in the adept's viewpoint.
Questioner. Then presently we receive catalyst of the mind as we are aware of Ra's communication, and we receive catalyst of the body as our body senses all of the inputs to the body as I understand it. But could Ra then describe catalyst of the spirit, and are we at this time receiving that catalyst also? And if not, could Ra give an example of that? I am Ra. Catalyst being processed by the body is catalyst for the body. Catalyst being processed by the mind is catalyst for the mind. Catalyst being processed by the spirit is catalyst for the spirit. An individual mind-body-spirit complex may use any catalyst which comes before its notice, be it through the body and its senses, or through mentation, or through any other more highly developed source, and use this catalyst in its unique way to form an experience unique to it with its biases.
One of the principles of the archetypical mind is that the archetype called hope or faith. Now, these archetypes are in place as a portion of the birthright of each individual, which is the son or daughter of the infinite creator. However, it is the result of much experience involving a final and absolute strengthening of a particular pillar of the archetypical structure of the mind, which makes it possible for one consciously to be aware of this unmovable archetype, part of the architecture or structure of the deep mind. It exists without regard to the third density illusory experience which the conscious mind perceives as catalyst and reacts to as it chooses. The archetype of faith or hope, therefore, is much like the deep and solid earth which lies beneath the fissures, honeycombed caves, and many irregularities of the land and sea masses and their tectonic plates which make up the movable or malleable or reactive body of the living creature which you call the earth.
In each person, these archetypes may or may not, in previous experiences of incarnation, have become apparent and recognized as a portion of the birthright and very nature of the unchangeable solidity of your imperishable and infinite self. Thus, not all will experience, in a situation in which faith and hope are tested, an inability to deny faith, for the reason that each entity in its free will has in its many experiences made millions of choices concerning that of which it wishes to become aware in a whole sense.
The entire process of seeking within your third density illusion is one in which you become that fool. It is a process which contains the, as your Bible has called it, the valley of the shadow of death. There is in this process a rod and a staff which comforts those who walk through the valley of the shadow of death. These are the will and the faith components that ring throughout each archetypical image and are as the guiding star. For the faith that this process will end well must be fueled by the will to persevere.
For whether linked to the archetypical mind or not, or excuse me, to the archetypal mind or not, these concepts and energies and realities of faith and the choice are absolutely central to the experience of the veiled third density experience and consciousness. Faith, as with the choice, are necessary portions of your journey, my sister, and the journey of all those within the third density. The fool, as represented in the archetypal mind, is a facet of that mind, that deep foundational mind, which may be called upon to further clarify and articulate the choice before one in each and in any moment. For the self is offered a dual way of perceiving, experiencing, and responding to the illusion about one upon a spectrum of possibilities with two roles, that being known to you as service to others and service to self.
Each moment is pregnant with both potential possibilities to move forward in one direction or the other and bias one's consciousness to give love freely or to exploit and manipulate others that their power may be gained for the self is, in your veiled condition, a movement into the unknown. It is a movement of faith. You may amass knowledge and life experience that seeks to understand the patterns of the illusions and the workings of your life path to this point, and use that information in a statistical or intuitive way to attempt to predict what shall transpire next. What might be the outcome of this decision? Where may this path lead if I stepped in this direction? And you may have reasonable success in that regard. But as your life has surely demonstrated again and again, ultimately you cannot know. You are met with surprise after surprise. You do not know what may be the fruit of any given decision, what may lie around the next bend of that path which may in that moment seem so clear to your eyes.
While it is possible and normal for those of your density to make their choices thinking that they are making such a choice based upon that which they know, The further one progresses along the path in spiritual evolution, the higher one moves upward in the spiraling line of light, the more that one becomes conscious that they do not know and cannot know. Which is not to say that they abandon their rational minds and their hard-won knowledge altogether, just that perhaps they use those as supplement, and they learn more and more to lean into the unknown, to trust that their work is to make the decision and, as your peoples may say, let the cards fall where they may, or trust that whatever the outcome, wherever the path may lead, all is well, that the self, at base and its core, is perfect and cannot make a mistake.
The self exercises their will in this inner ambience of faith, which they have learned to cultivate. They place their foot as thus the fool moving forward, not knowing what may be lurking in the shadows, but also not fearing, not becoming paralyzed along the way, or sensing the uncertainty and the ambiguity and shadowland of the unknown and saying, I will remain comfortable where I am and not seek that progress forward, for there may be terrifying things up ahead. There may be unpleasant experiences awaiting for me. The fool makes that leap, not recklessly into harm's way for the sake of the thrill, for the adrenaline rush, but having tuned their own instrument to their highest and best, to their spiritual journey as it blossoms before them in their incarnation. They let not the projections of the mind or the vulnerability of the self serve as a stumbling block, because they are learning and have learned and will continue to learn the great and subtle and finely balanced art of calling upon faith.
Faith, by definition, is that which transcends the conceptual constructs of your consensus reality, the walls of reality, shall we say, as you know them, the rules of the game that which your society has constructed and will destroy and reconstruct again. These are helpful containers to create a cohesive reality within which you may experience catalyst and come to know yourself. But to seek beyond them into the infinite, faith is required. Faith may be inspired by the model of the other entity, but it is that faith ultimately which exists within your own heart, that faith that becomes more tangible as the gateway within the indigo ray opens, and the self makes contact with that which is beyond name, beyond form.
It takes only a seed of this faith to transform any given seeming limitation of your third density reality. Faith transforms the situation not necessarily by changing any outer circumstance, but by awakening the consciousness of the seeker within to its truest state, wherein its consciousness is boundless. It is experiencing some situation of the illusion, but it is not in its true nature limited by or trapped within such a situation. Indeed, the body, the incarnation, the finances, the health, and so forth are by nature finite and integrated into this finite physical system. But the consciousness that you are in, your true nature, disidentified from these forms, is eternal, and faith, and through no process of reasoning, though reasoning may be an ally to one, is that rainbow bridge to infinity, and that faculty also called upon by the fool as he or she makes their choice.
There is no mental access to these subconscious processes, which have far more to do with the archetypes of selfhood than with any conscious, logical, or developed line of reasoning. Therefore, one is relatively helpless to heal one's own incarnation consciously. However, there is a clear and lucid path towards aiding oneself in the balancing of an incarnation. That way is the way of faith. The most vivid blossoms along that path are those of self-forgiveness, forgiveness of the Creator, and forgiveness of all those whom the heart has held in thrall with anger. Once these dusty cobwebs of past negative emotion are swept from that subconscious place, then forgiveness may blossom, and then the seeker discovers almost by reflex that the circumstances of the incarnation have been transformed. The first few epiphanies or times of transformation within a seeker's experience are those which free portions of the self, so that various energies are sequentially set free within the individual, clearing the channel on a higher and higher level.
Entities who work with healing the incarnation are those which have gone through those times of testing which may be seen to be partial and therefore have come to a place where the next time of transformation is that one which was the final transformation within the life or incarnation, which has to do with oneself only. And at this time of final transformation or initiation, the whole self, the whole life becomes soft and malleable if the seeker is at that time perfectly willing to forgive all. Therefore, the way of faith being followed, in due time, the healing of the incarnation becomes a gift given to the self by the subconscious levels of self, aided by what this instrument would call the Holy Spirit and what we often call the higher self.
It would seem that the Spirit could reach down and grab the soul from within you and bring it to a better place. And yet we say to you that many times that this is not the way that Spirit works. For every time that there is a sudden and dramatic change in the outer picture, there are 10 and 20 times when the lesson has to do with limitation, patience, and faith. This instrument said earlier that faith is not faith in anything. Faith is the trust without any proof or supporting evidence that all is well and that all will be well. And this is the surrender that is demanded on the inner path. It is faith stripped of dogma. It is faith not in, but simple faith. It is that faith that leads one to leap into midair as the fool, not seeing the safety net, not seeing the next step, not knowing the answers, and yet being willing to act as if all were well by faith. It is a frightening concept when thought about without the activity of the self as a living being. And if thought about, it will often bring that living self to a state of paralysis.
We would not offer one path as superior to the other. In fact, we imagine that for most entities over a lifetime of seeking, there will be dipping into both aspects of spirituality, the outer and the inner. There will be a mixture of finding outer concepts and structures of thought with which to resonate, and of finding surrender to simple faith, the only real answer in a specific situation.
And how shall that be done? It begins with the bare idea of the possibility of forgiveness, with an upwelling of faith that forgiveness is possible. A seeker may begin to have compassion upon himself. His interest is not in making excuses for himself or rationalizing things done amiss or things not done which ought to have been done, in the seeker's opinion. Rather, it is in the growing willingness to go after the lost sheep of imperfection and imperfect actions, and to carry them back into the heart to be loved, respected, honored, and forgiven.
It is the work of considerable spiritual maturity to accept the self Even if every external action in the seeker's life is perfect in the seeker's own opinion, yet still the seeker knows his secret thoughts. He is aware of the mean and petty emotions that churn, unspoken and unrevealed to the world within his heart. To accept the self, then, the seeker faces these very imperfections and with willingness to flow into them, he moves into the energy body to the point where these energies dwell in the shadows of red ray or orange ray or yellow ray, in lust or greed or the desire to persuade, manipulate or control. And he goes after that part of himself that covets, that part of himself that wishes to do murder, that part of himself that wishes to take that which he wants, even though it is not his. Okay, take a deep breath in, hold, exhale, hold, inhale, hold, exhale, hold, inhale again, hold, exhale, hold, and relax. Feel a wave of relaxation moving up your toes, feet, ankles, calves and shins, knees, thighs, moving up your torso gradually up towards the belly button, chest, shoulders, down your arms, elbows, lower arms, wrists, hands and fingers. Feel the wave of relaxation moving up your neck, your jaw, cheeks, back of the head, ears, eyes, temples, eyebrows, forehead, moving up towards your crown, feeling so relaxed. And now you feel your crown chakra opening, the violet ray energy center. And as it opens up, you feel the violet ray radiating outwards, connecting with the violet rays of everyone and everything around you. All of us connecting up, forming a violet membrane all over the earth, surrounding the entire globe, connecting, opening up your indigo ray energy center, and let it spread out and connecting with everyone else's indigo ray energy center, forming an indigo membrane, joining up, surrounding the entire earth, glowing and radiating around the entire globe, opening your blue-ray energy center and let it spread outwards, connecting with everyone else's blue-ray energy center and forming a membrane or a mist covering the entire earth, entire globe. Opening up the green ray energy center and let it radiate outwards, connecting with everyone else's green ray energy center, joining up and forming a misty membrane all around the earth, covering all of the entire globe. Opening up the yellow ray energy center and letting it radiate outwards, connecting with everyone else's yellow ray energy center, leaving not a single person out, forming a beautiful misty membrane all around the earth, covering the entire globe. Opening up the orange ray energy center and letting it radiate outwards as you become aware that everyone else is also doing the same, connecting our orange ray energy centers, forming a beautiful membrane all around the earth. Opening up the red ray energy center and letting it radiate outwards, connecting with everyone else's red ray energy center, and all joining up and blending to form a misty membrane covering the entire earth. Sit with this awareness. Become aware of a radiant energy flowing down towards the crown of your head, permeating through you, out of you, into the earth, into the air around you, spreading outwards, moving this radiant nectar out into the 3D reality, into the earth, and also out into the waters, this body of water that is the metaphysical reality, flowing into both. Become aware of this energy flowing through you. Become aware of this energy feeding and nourishing everything, going into the earth. And you become aware that this nectar is causing sprouts to come up from the earth. Little flowers and weeds. Some of them you enjoy, some of them not so much. But it's flowing anyway, and you just keep watering it, pouring the Creator through you and allowing the flow. Become aware of what is being fed with this energy that's flowing through you, and celebrating everything that comes up, forgiving the weeds that are sprouting, allowing the flow, becoming aware that this energy flowing through you, so also going into the waters of consciousness, feeding back to creation, so that creation may know itself. Connecting with the knowledge that this energy is wisdom, permeating everything. Always in motion. Knowing that this energy sustains all that is. Knowing that this energy keeps you fed, helps you grow, permeating every cell. Become aware of how you feel about this energy, how you relate to it, what it means for you. You might find yourself wondering what this meditation has to do with faith. If that's the case, you might want to ponder the nature of faith and what that means. And as you ponder, you'll become aware that you're feeding spirit into the mundane as well as the eternal. Now we become aware of our energy centers again. The red ray energy center radiating out, joining with other red ray energy centers, covering the entire earth like a soft, misty blanket. Orange ray energy center radiating out and joining with every other orange ray energy center, covering the entire globe, radiating out your yellow ray energy center and joining with every other yellow energy center, covering the globe. Radiate out your green ray energy center and joining with others and covering the entire globe. Radiating out your blue ray energy center and joining with others and covering the entire globe. Radiating out your blue ray and your indigo ray energy center and joining with others, covering the entire globe. And radiating out your violet ray energy center and joining with others and covering the entire globe. And giving thanks to the Creator within and the Creator that is the one that permeates all, for this opportunity to serve.